This presentation will contain the effects of and solutions to climate change. I'm Zach Retzioni, and these are my partners Nico Ceballos and Jack Schillinger. Without the greenhouse effect, Earth will be more of a frozen tundra than anything else. The greenhouse effect is when the sun rays hit Earth, which forms heat. Some of that heat is kept in place due to carbon dioxide found in the Earth's atmosphere, but the rest is just left floating in space. When we emit more carbon dioxide, we trap more heat inside of the atmosphere, and as a result, making the planet hotter. This effect is otherwise known as climate change. The main cause of climate change is burning fossil fuels, which is something that releases a lot of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. According to NASA, should as much carbon dioxide be emitted into the atmosphere, at this rate, more droughts, heat waves, and hurricanes will occur. Also, we can expect the Arctic to become completely ice-free by mid-century. According to Chloe H. Lucas, a research fellow at the University of Tasmania, whose research includes climate change, and Justin Warland, an author for Time magazine, Republicans have a history of not raising the alarm about climate change. In fact, when the Republicans took control of the House of Representatives in the year 2010, there wasn't a single bill that was passed containing the key phrase climate change. Now, there are many reasons as to why Republicans might not include that key phrase in their bills, but both of these sources were certain that it was due to their afraid of committing treason to their own party. Historically speaking, Democrats have raised the alarm about climate change a lot more often than Republicans, so simply no point in Republicans doing anything about it. Despite this, a potentially encouraging sign recently was that Donald Trump was quoted saying, in December, "I'm an environmentalist, I am. I want the cleanest water on the planet, I want the cleanest air everywhere." Also, Quillen Robinson, a government affairs director, has found that Trump has talked about climate change in much more delicate terms recently, but he still hasn't put any pen to paper on any legislatures, according to the BBC. In contrast to the president's recent tone, pulling the U.S. out of the Paris Agreement only 1 month before he made that remark hugely hurt the environment in the United States, as that agreement would force all the countries who signed to not raise their temperature above 2 degrees Celsius. Not only did this formal retraction further damage the environment, but also has served to confuse Republicans as to which side they should be on. Keep in mind that the U.S. officially withdrew from the Paris Agreement only 1 month before Trump made his environmentalist report. Now, Republicans raising the alarm about climate change are siding not only against their own party, but the president they helped elect as well. A poll taken by Brian Spies, a double major at the University of New South Wales, found that only 1/2 of the public thought that human activities had some effect on climate change, with the other half completely denying this. However, that same half thought that only half of scientists felt the same way. And interestingly enough, 97% of climate scientists believe that human actions have some effect on climate change. Also, according to Justin Warland, a previously mentioned author, 45% of people are greatly concerned about climate change. While this might seem like a bunch of random percentages meant to confuse the listener, these findings are actually very significant. The fact that almost 1/2 of people are greatly concerned about climate change shows that we have the manpower to start moving in the right direction with this issue. Also, if we get more people to accept the overwhelming 97% scientific consensus on this issue, we can make a real difference.
Our group has come up with many different solutions for the problem of climate change. The first solution is to encourage politicians to act on climate change. There are many problems with this solution, however. The first problem was raised by Justin Warland, a Times author. He said that right-wing politicians would not do anything because left-wing politicians were already doing something. To put it in the words of Warland, he said, if their cause was already being championed, what the political game calculus was gained by defying their own party. The second problem was stated by Brian Spies, a chief research officer at CSIRO in Australia. He said that right-wing ideologies are that man-made climate change does not exist. He also said that most of the public does not believe that humans have anything to do with climate change. To put it in the words of Spies, he said, climate scientists believe that climate change is at least partially caused by human activity, but only 50% of the public felt the same way. The second solution is to switch to renewable sources of energy. There are many pros and cons with this solution. One pro is that it is much more environmentally friendly than using non-renewable sources of energy. Also, it is much more economically sound and much cheaper than natural gas. If you look at the graph, you can see that there are many power sources that are significantly less than gas and oil. Hydropower is only 5 cents per kilowatt hour, and onshore wind is a little bit more at 6 cents per kilowatt hour. This is in comparison to gas and oil, which are both 15 cents per kilowatt hour. There are many cons with this solution, however. Some energy types are not environmentally friendly. For example, hydroelectric power can damage fragile ecosystems and throw off the environment in the area. There are also some energy types that do not give power at all times. For example, solar and wind are intermittent because they do not supply power when there is no sun out or when there is no wind blowing. This is very important to take into consideration because we must understand that this happens and that we must put in systems to store energy, so we may use the systems when it cannot provide enough energy.
Okay. Solution 3, the government implementation of carbon pricing and limitation. Now, what exactly is carbon pricing? Carbon pricing is the tax on carbon emissions for energy use according to the EPA. And carbon pricing was first proposed by Professor Simon Dietz, part of the Geography and Environmental at LSE. And he says that this would save trillions of dollars of damages caused by climate change and carbon emissions. Now, the process of carbon pricing is when we first initially implement the carbon pricing, there's only 2 paths companies can take. The first path is the overall goal for companies to switch to renewable sources of energy that are very sustainable. The second path is to keep on using carbon emissions, but have to pay more taxes on it. But overall, these taxes that are implemented will go to better, reliable new sources of energy carbon emissions will be greatly reduced, according to Fizz from Princeton University. He says that this is the best approach to nurturing this regrowth of emissions. What this means is that carbon price will be efficiently increased, and it will reduce companies to less than no carbon emissions, and which sources say that is sustainable and environmentally friendly. Now, there's also carbon limiting. Carbon limiting is when companies efficiently, slowly go from renewable energy, from carbon emissions to renewable energy sources. And this combination of these two will lead to great success, according to Joseph E. Alley, a former Harvard professor. He says that this limit on carbon emissions will put a price on carbon, and the company will thrive in its transition. There are some problems with this solution, where according to Professor Sam Hester, the early stages, many companies will have conniptions about these being implemented, and will not like the process, and will want their company to do the best during the transition, and have arguments about it. Also, policymakers, to induce this new transition, will have a long time and a long process of making this, which will make very hard to implement. And this graph shows from 2011 to 2014, large power plants dropped 19.7% of their carbon emissions because they switched to shale gray gas because of the carbon emission limit. In conclusion, climate change is a serious problem that we needed to take part of, and we found 3 different solutions to help it. We must encourage politicians to act on it, to switch to renewable energy, and our best solution, the combination of carbon limiting and carbon pricing. And this overall benefits the environment as well as the economy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and start with you, Jack, with questions. So, can you describe an argument from one of your peers' reports that made you think differently about your team's solution or your conclusion?
One of the arguments for my team's solution was from Nico's paper was about the economic perspective of climate change. This changed my overall perspective because I always thought climate change was an environmental problem and not usually impacted the economy a lot. But now after reading this paper, especially about carbon pricing and how companies need to change their carbon emissions, the economy is greatly affected when trying to resolve this issue.
Okay, good. And Zach, can you give one specific way that your thinking changed as a result of learning about Nico's findings?
Sure. So Nico's findings showed that the GDP would be lowered by over 10% by the year 2100. I, like Jack, had always thought of climate change as more of an environmental issue, and I had no idea that it could affect the economy as well.
Okay. And Nico, can you, after you're done with this project, what do you consider to be some kind of gap in your research that if you looked into it would make you feel more confident about your conclusion?
One gap that we found in our research was that none of us did the environmental lens. This, as it turns out, is very important when we are talking about climate change, and we had to do extra research because of it. It would have been much easier if one of us had done that.
Okay, thank you very much.